What's up, everybody? Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel for another comic book review. And in today's review, I'm going to be reviewing the finale of Ruby Falls, and that's going to be Ruby Falls issue number 3 and issue number 4. This is a 4-issue miniseries being published by Dark Horse Comics, and I believe it's on their Berger Books line, which I'm guessing, I can't remember, is it Karen Berger who is the, who's kind of putting these things together? Yeah, Karen Berger is the editor here, and I'm guessing that's just, like another little offshoot of, Dark Horse Comics. I won't confess to know about it, but this book here is being written by Ann Nocenti, or I'm a cyclist, so I know when I see these names like in Italian or French or whatever, it would be Nocenti, but Ann Nocenti. Flavia Biondi is the artist, Lee Lowridge is the colorist, and Sal Cipriano is the letterer. I'll go ahead and show you those, and they've got the same team here on all 4 of these books. So I'll show you that, and basically what's been going on here is this is a murder mystery taking place in a small town called Ruby Falls. And this young our main character here, she whose name escapes me right now, she's been kind of trying to solve this old murder that she had learned about from her grandmother, who has dementia, and she's in this old folks home. Her grandmother was saying some things, and she's like, "Hey, what the hell?" And her grandmother gave her this book to read, and was talking about it, and about this whole murder that she had witnessed and had been covered up by the town. So she's out there trying to figure out this, it's a murder mystery. So she's been going out there, and this main character, she's a lesbian, and she has a girlfriend and stuff like that. And in issue number 2, we seen that she got a little bit too flirty with this guy who works with the city and has access to these records and everything. I think he works with maybe the newspaper or something as well. So she got a little close and friendly with him, and I don't know, probably led the guy on a little too much here, and that plays here into this story here a little bit. But she's been going out and tracking down who it was that trying to solve this mystery of who committed these murders, and she thinks she's found the right person. And that's what we open up to here in this issue, where she's there confronting this person who she believes is the murderer of this person, and possibly had murdered some other women in the community. And she's there confronting him, and he's he's got a bad reputation. He's not the best guy. He kind of lives out on the outskirts of town, and he's really kind of largely been a recluse from society. And so she gets there, and she's questioning him about everything, and he pulls a gun on her, and he's old, he's in a wheelchair, so she kind of fights back, and just some of that different stuff. Well, she ends up kind of getting not really a confession out of him so much as, just kind of putting stuff together of exactly what he's done. And he's telling her hey, what are you going to do to me? I'm an old man. I've lived my life. What's it? You think it matters at this point? He's like, you just need to stop poking your nose in business where it don't belong. And then right here, when she gets done, she gets back to town, back to her place, her where she lives at, over her father's shop, and she ends up getting arrested on suspicion of having a concealed weapon, a weapon that wasn't even hers. It was actually somebody else's. But anyway, so she goes on. She gets bailed out of jail, and of course, her mother and her father don't seem to get along too well, and that kind of plays a little bit more into this story. This issue number 3 as well. Her and her girlfriend. Her and her girlfriend are out at the local farmers market doing some shopping and doing, just they're having, just a good time together. And like I said, her girlfriend's already jealous of this guy, and what happens, like I said, she led this guy on a little too much, and he just goes and lays walks up behind her in the middle of their conversation and lays this big old fat kiss right on her cheek, and her girlfriend gets really pissed off. And in the meantime, her father, who is a butcher in town trying to keep his business afloat, is there meeting with this guy who's kind of a younger guy in town, a little more of a spirit for promoting businesses in the new age, something that's very a lot of businesses these days have to do is keep up with the times. You don't want to fall behind the times. If you want to stay in business these days, you got to keep up with the times. You know what I mean? Like all these small mom and pop shops that people keep talking about are closing and being the fault of big corporations. Like, it's really largely, I mean, sure that some of that plays into that, but a lot of it's the local community and them wanting to come to your shops and support you. But not only that, you got to keep up with the times. Look at Blockbuster. You know what I'm saying? Blockbuster was one of those companies out there. I mean, they were, they had a chance, to take into like Redbox and like with, and keep up with the Netflix and all that stuff. I mean, they had all the product. All they had to do was find a way to keep up with it, to bring costs down and still be renting movies to people. I'm not really here to get into that. So anyway, this young lady's grandmother is missing at the same time, and we get a little bit more as we see the grandmother is out kind of exploring the wilderness and doing her thing, kind of going back to some of the places that she used to go when she was growing up, and being known around town as a Betty. That's something. It's called a Betty. And that's really what we get a lot of here in this third issue, as we see, we see even our main character here, her mother, who, like I said, her father and her mother don't get along anymore. Even she's starting to kind of be affected by the disappearance of her mother here, and is starting to miss her mother, and just wants her mom to come back. Kind of building up, rounding out this third issue. Again, I thought issue number 3 was pretty good as well. And then we get here into issue number 4 of Ruby Falls, and this is the conclusion of the story. All written by the same people. So here we see that, man, why can't I remember her okay, Clara. Is it Clara that's her name, or is that her grandmother's name? I think it might be her grandmother's name. But we see that our main character here, along with her girlfriend, goes down, and they're trying to find her missing grandmother, and they use her silks to get down there. Just, I don't know, just kind of funny because that's what she's into. But we see they end up coming across her grandmother to save her, but so does somebody else, and somebody that she's gotten in this confrontation with already. And just some interesting things going on here. Just some different things going on throughout the town. We can see they're having like some fundraisers and things going on, but they are still trying to find her grandmother. Well, her and her girlfriend found their grandmother, and they send the dog into town to help alert the people, because they kind of got stuck in this ravine to bring her grandmother in. So through the course of this, we finally get she finally gets her grandmother, and they bring her into town, and she finally by the end of this book, we finally get the conclusion of this. Finally get the conclusion of this story and this murder mystery, and we find out that, was there really a murder here to be figured out? What exactly was going on? What happened to this young lady that came up missing? Was she murdered by this old man and this person that seems to be really high suspect? Was she actually murdered? Did he take care of her and somehow dispose of this body that's never been found of this young lady? Something that you're definitely going to have to read about in this book. This also ties into something else, some psychological kind of things as well, where this young lady, the main character here in the story, she felt she had to go out and prove this, because she kind of feels like our memories don't always serve us well, and that's something that kind of goes into the story with the whole murder mystery that her grandmother was telling her, in maybe the fact that maybe her memory isn't exactly doing her serving her too well, because she can't exactly remember events. And that's the thing about when it comes to like these kinds of things, like these mysteries and murders and just things like that. When you watch some of these real life investigations, is it's best to just go on facts, not like what people remember, because especially in the heat of a moment when something happens, something traumatic or crimes or anything like that, is people's memories begin to fail them. It turns a red car black. It turns a red shirt green. Different things like that. It turns a guy that was 5'5" into somebody who's 6'2". You know what I mean? Memories aren't exactly the best, especially old memories. You got to go off of facts, and that's something that plays really well here in the end, as we find out a little bit more about our main character and how she kind of wanted to prove something to her mother. She held something against her mother for the longest time about this picture that she had with her grandfather and riding horses, and I don't know. I thought it was a really good book. Like I said, it's a murder mystery, but it also hinges on the fact that people's memories don't serve them the best. Because we're not always the best at keeping track and keeping record of things, especially when we're younger as opposed to when we're adults, especially as opposed to when we become older and begin to get senile and we start to remember things differently. That's why it's probably important to make videos like this, or to have a journal, or just write things down. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of speaking to a lot of these kinds of things. Altogether, I thought this book was pretty good. Ruby Falls, like I said, it's a female-led book, so if you want something that's a female-led book, it's a murder mystery. It's also, it just covers a lot of those bases people would like to see in comic books these days. Of course, the character in here, I think she's white. So, oh my God, Anyway, but yeah, it's got the main character is a lesbian. She's got her girlfriend. She kind of goes through her own trials there with that, with her and her girlfriend. Also, some of the trials she goes through with her lifestyle with her grandmother and even her parents. All that kind of plays into the story. Altogether, I think the story was really well written. The characters were well fleshed out, and so was the story. It all ended up tying together to be a pretty good series. And again, it's only a 4-issue miniseries being published by Dark Horse Comics. But let me know down in the comments below, have you read Ruby Falls? If not, does it sound something like you might be into? Like I said, I thought it was a pretty good series. Let's talk about that down in the comments below. That's all I have for this video today, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, click the little bell and all of that good stuff. Give this video a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down if you don't like it. It's all good. I don't take it personal. But while you're at it, make sure that you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week. Go out and read some great comic books, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.